All right, welcome to another episode of Wicked Friggin Heavy, New England culture that packs a punch. I'm here with Nick and Matt of Beers Brosnan. And Gasoline Dream. Matt is also a part of a band called Combatant. So what's going on, guys? You just came out of rehearsal, right?
Yeah, actually, we spent yesterday in the studio recording 3 new tracks as a 4-piece with Beers.
Yeah. Yep, new territory. Been working on these for the past few months, and now we're kind of starting to like have things kind of coming together. And so yeah, we did that, and then straight to work, practicing today. And then we're playing a show on Sunday, so
yeah, we
busy.
We gave ourselves a deadline to like learn X amount of songs by agreeing to do a show that we had no business agreeing to do. But our friends are playing, and our friends booked it.
We can do it.
Yeah, it was a good excuse to.
That's what it is.
You're at your best when you get out of the studio. I feel like you finally comprehend the songs a little bit more, and you can kind of like live in them for a second, and then you can just play them however you play them live, and it's a little tighter. So.
Well, it's wild too, just seeing where we got yesterday, like with the songs sounding how they sound now in the studio after like really getting the rocks off and playing them like full bore. Just seeing that progression happen the way it does is probably not going to sound the same way on Sunday, but nobody knows that but us. So,
no.
It's like sometimes that's an advantage that you have over people. I like it when people know the song, but sometimes it's kind of interesting to kind of like throw it over their heads a little, Keep things interesting.
We've been playing together now in this project for about three years.
Yeah, Beers has been going for, I'd say, about that long as a band. I started the band it was like supposed to be just kind of like a way to release songs that I had written for other bands that went by the wayside. And now I think like, we're doing it as a full band now. I've always wanted another guitar player in the band, and I want people singing in the band that aren't me, and that's what we're kind of striving for right now.
We've been playing a lot of these songs for a long enough time we've already done shows where Matt will just play by himself and play the songs. We've done shows where Matt and I play as a 2-piece, and we do light Beers, and this is just Beers Heavy.
Yeah, we've done quieter sets with Andrew playing drums and me playing more of like an acoustic, and we've, now we're doing it with a full bore lineup with Alex on drums, and
it's pretty cool. I think it's the most musical that at least the 3 of us who have been doing this together have gotten. It's the most musical we've been together, which is really cool. Lot of sound.
Yeah, it sounds like a band. The original duo too was originally me and Andrew, and it wasn't crazy. Yeah,
his first record was like 17 songs, and I think half, all of them were recorded by Andrew.
Like the original,
that was the original Beers Brosnan release, and I don't necessarily know that was the intention of Beers Brosnan. I didn't really. It was during the pandemic that I worked on a lot of shit with Andrew, and he was good enough to work on it with me, and it was just kind of a thing we were doing to kill time, and it was fun, and I was like, well, I do like some of these songs, and the more I thought about it, I wanted to play them live, and I needed people to do it with, and Andrew was like, well, I'm down to do it. And then I kind of like tried to reach out to people, not really anyone like reached out, and Nick was like, yo, I like these songs, and it was like, oh, word. Like, that's flattering. So you want to play them? Cool. All right, we're a band now. You know,
I was flattered to be asked to do it. Like I liked the songs. I think Matt had at most played like an open mic night or something like that.
Yeah, and I didn't even really play like all beers, what would become beers, and like I did some cover. I covered like a Wiper song, and I like covered one of my old band Kickin' Dirt song.
And Kickin' Dirt was a cool band because it was 3 different songwriters, and you could pick out whose song was which. And I really liked Matt's songwriting. And then we jammed maybe once, and it was like, all right, I think we learned like 9 songs off the rip, and
pretty quickly
3 months later played a show.
And that's the advantage of having a recording. It's like, even if I don't really like listen to that album all the time now, I can go back to it, and I was able to practice off of it. Other people were able to practice off of it. Yeah. So it took some of the burden off of people at first, and then you start graduating into, okay, now we're gonna work on the songs together. Okay, now we're gonna write the songs together.
There was a shift where now we were kind of taking the songwriting that Matt had always been doing from the first record, and as we started to write new, or as Matt started to write new stuff, we started kind of pushing it through this 3-piece filter of like, oh, well, this is how we play together as a 3-piece. How do we take these songs and make them this 3-piece band? And then we did a record.
Yeah.
How many songs was Stay?
Stay was 11, and then Utopia came after that. I think it was a little more polished, and that was 7.
So that's 18 songs as a 3-piece plus 17 songs off the first record.
Right.
And we're talking 5 years, 4.5.
Yeah, thereabouts.
I call people like Maddie an output guy, where it's just like, if they have the time, they'll write the songs.
Yeah, and it's kind of a sickness at times. I haven't even really been writing a lot of music right now. I've had to take kind of a step back from it at times with myself, because I live in an apartment with my partner and a roommate. I used to live alone. I would just write songs all day long. That was what I do. It'd be like, if I wasn't like doing a workout or like eating food or going for a walk, I'm in there playing music, and I just recorded tons of stuff, and I found a sound that I liked, and I wanted to preserve that. I wanted to turn it into something, and it had some longevity with it. And the intention was always to get back in a band. All my other bands imploded at once, and I was left with a bunch of songs that I didn't know what to do with. And now we're working with something, and we're trying to grow something that it didn't necessarily start as. What happened was like I was writing in a band with 2 other buddies of mine, Corey and Lee. We were in Kickin' Dirt with Grant. That was one of my favorite bands I'd ever done, and I was starting to kind of come into my own as a songwriter. Not like playing like punk and hardcore music, which I've always played. And it was an excuse to kind of like try things out that were different. I mean, I like other music other than punk and hardcore. It's always going to be a part of my life, and it's never going to be really absent from my songwriting. Like, beer songs have an urgency to them. They have an earnestness to them. I'm just kind of trying to come at it from a slightly different angle. I'm inspired by people that are willing to push themselves into that realm, and who knows? Maybe in someday I'm going to be playing a bouzouki and a dulcimer and a yurt, and
right.
and I'm going to I don't know, like come see me for a few hours and I'll just play for you alone. I don't know. I don't think that's really what's going to happen, but my intention when Beers first started was I had songs that I didn't want to lose. I was afraid of losing them. I was afraid of losing myself in a way. I was afraid of losing songwriting ability. I was afraid of like letting these ideas that I had slip through my grasp and not be able to reconnect with them. And it's like memories that you like want to remember, and you're like, I don't have the faintest, the foggiest idea of what happened. And for me, it was about documentation at the time. After a while, it became about wanting to turn it into something that was easier to access for me and for others.
Right.
And now it's about trying to make it better and bigger than the sum of its parts. And so my brain has moved a lot over these, and I've had a lot of moments of agitation and disgust and remorse, and and that's what makes the songwriting work. Because totally. I've had a lot of moments of elation. I've had a lot of opportunities to play these songs in front of people and feel like I did something.
Totally.
Totally.
Yeah, I feel that. I mean, I'm sure we all do as musicians, where it's like you go through that whole songwriting process of like, oh my God, like this song sucks, or like this is so hard right now,
Yeah.
And I used to go through like a phase when I was like first starting to write stuff, I think, where it's like I'd come up with something and I'd hate it and then I'd just put it down and move on. But I feel like I found more success in pushing through that hard spot, you know, like not putting it down, just working on it until it's something that you like, you know. It's so much better than just putting something down, you know, and coming back to it.
It's crucial.
So around the time of Stay, I decided that I had songs that I needed to get out.
Yeah.
And I hate being a band leader. I hate being like the songwriter, but I felt like I needed to do it once and really kind of give it a shot. And I had always wanted to do this hardcore band, and it was a very specific thing, kind of a more antisocial kind of band, but something that I'd always wanted to do. I'm like 15 years I want to do this band, and around the time of Stay, I'm like writing these songs. Before I had a child, we would practice at my house, and I lived with my drummer, so we just cranked all the time. We were playing, 6 days a week sometimes, and I wrote these like 5 or 6 songs, and they were just this thing, but it's my thing, and I wanted to be this thing. And I looked at Matt, and I was like, hey, I know that you're an output guy, but we just did this big thing together, and we wrote this record, and we recorded it, and it's awesome. Let's step off the gas for a second. Do you want to do this other thing with me?
Yeah, okay.
And just kind of
And
have
it was
it.
perfect timing.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect timing.
Because it was around the time where Andrew was really starting to pick up with Blue, and running a venue is,
It's hard.
The people who do that are God-given. You know what I'm saying?
Harders.
I couldn't do that.
No,
Straight up.
I used to book shows, and that's literally like a 20th of the facet of what he has to do with a venue like that. So at the time, it was like we need to not necessarily pump the brakes because somebody like this is impossible to output guy. So hey, help me with my output. So we put together Gasoline Dream based on some songs that Seth and I wrote in my basement, and I picked people that I love to collaborate with and be in bands with. So Matt and I had been playing together for about 1.5 years at that point, and we got our friend Dan Rich, who I've played in many bands with over the years, and we play really well together as guitar players, but I just love Dan Rich. He's one of the best human beings on the planet. So it was like, hey, if we're going to have a second guitar player, Dan should probably do it. And then Jan was, for all intents and purposes, like a post-COVID addition to the area. I don't think we met
Yeah, he's been coming here to the state for a long time, family here. But yeah, I didn't really meet him until, it was like, hey, get in the car with me and let's go to practice. I don't really know you, but I like you, dude. You're pretty cool. Let's listen to some good tunes. We both like Lungfish. Fuck yeah, you're all right with me.
One of those people that when you've been involved in something like hardcore for so long, it definitely shrinks your world. It's like you meet somebody and you're like, oh yeah, we know each other. We just met, but we know each other. He was one of those guys. Speaking of know each other, hey, you want to crash this and say hello?
What's up? I'd love to say hello. I feel like I'm going to be doing this in a couple
Yeah.
You are, man.
There he is.
cameo spot.
Be doing this on Wednesday.
There he is.
Boys, I'm Ethan. Nice to meet you.
Yo.
you doing?
Rock and roll, dude.
Good.
Love you, buddy.
Wednesday.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, so I had the collaborators in place. These are my friends. These are people that I can stand to spend time with. And we recorded the Gasoline Dream record. And I'll tell you, I was very stoked with how it came out. I mean, Seth and I wrote those songs, and then we made those songs sound awesome. Jan's edition was so natural and genuine and fucking dark, man.
Yeah.
Like, I thought immediately, I was like, oh man, we're putting something. I wanted to do Antisocial, and I always liked the idea of like towing a line a little bit too. And man, all of our song titles are just literally Jan and I sitting and coming up with turns of phrases for a bad situation, or like, hey, we're gonna equate something like a leased automobile to a shitty Republican family member who it is what it is. It's jokes, but it's our jokes, and it's fun. And then we did another.
Fun to play.
Yeah, we did another one after that. Thanks, man.
Much appreciated.
It's such a cool thing because like I genuinely love spending time with the people who play in that band, and we really do play well together. And we record with our friend Scott Weber, which I think almost all of our projects have been done with Scott Weber.
Oh yeah, Westy's done I think everything that I've done since I moved back to Maine musically.
Yeah.
I mean, every single band that I've played in Portland, with the exception of Combatant, I think, has recorded with him. But members of that band have recorded with him with other projects. So Scott really, he's always been a bit of a, I dare say, a mentor.
Well, another member at very least.
Yeah.
He's a collaborator just as much as anybody else.
His opinion is valuable to me. And so having someone also, too, that's like kind of behind the scenes like that, behind the board like that, it's, I wouldn't be able to do what I do without him.
Yeah. And I think the Gasoline Dream just kind of, it came at a time when things in southern Maine, specifically Biddeford, were at like a really nice upswing. And there were some people who were really pulling some weight. Ethan, the SVU kids, and the Gum Scab guys, the Mancala guys. And man, all those dudes have literally done like the thing that sucks about doing all of these things. They've done all those things so we can enjoy these things.
Well, and especially too for me, it's been crazy seeing what's going on down in like Saco, Biddeford, Old Orchard too, and furthermore elsewhere. But being from Saco and having grown up there like my whole life until I went to college in Western Mass, which also has a great fucking hardcore scene and punk scene and noise scene. Biddeford back in the day was kind of hard to play in. Like they would have shows that I had heard of, like Bury Your Dead played at like the Rochambeau in like 06 or something like that. But like those didn't happen with regularity, and so for those shows to be happening in places like they have been, and like seeing people in a cafe down in Orchard Beach in the middle of the winter, young kids jumping off shit, losing their minds. I'm like, I would have killed to have this when I was in high school. We had to go to Orono, we had to go to Brewer and Bangor, and I met a lot of great musicians that way too that I'm still playing music with even to this day in a sense. But it was a different landscape in Maine hardcore and punk back then, Maine music in general, and they've done a great job with what they've done.
These kids
changed a lot.
Well, not just that, it's getting younger again too, and
that's crucial.
Matt mentioned a show. So Dan, Rich, Matt, and myself went to a show in Old Orchard Beach at is it Cafe 64?
Yeah, Gabe's spot.
Gabe Kidd from both G's and Mancala put a show on at the end of season. I think that Dan had to be the oldest, and I had
Definitely.
to be. We were. There might have been some parents there, but I mean, we're talking literal children.
Oh, people running inside to catch a breakdown.
Well,
I was like, all right.
I'm pretty sure that was Mortar's second show.
Probably. Yeah, it was just like early on.
100 Thorns, those kids, they play with like no shirts on.
Crushed it.
They're such like little rock and
It was like
rollers.
Chris Cornell was there.
Man. But like, I was like, oh man, like kids are into guitar music again. And things swing every like 20 to 25 years. And I'm starting to see trends of shit that I was into when I was getting into hardcore in high school or 8th grade, 2002.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, these kids are like wearing Jinkos and listening to Undying, and what is happening? And it was cool. People dug Gasoline Dream. It was kind of like one of those dumb things where we had been doing bands like this for so long. I'm in my late 30s. It was cool. People liked the shit, and it picked up quick. And we very soon after recorded a second EP with all of us kind of writing, and that one hit too. And we got to do some cool bucket list shit. Like we played with the Cro-Mags in Maine. We played with Converge.
Yeah. Yes. Big shout outs to like Chris Linkovich for thinking of us on that.
Yo.
Big thanks to like Kathy K for having the ability to still have this thing thriving here. There have been some legends of the scene, and they're still around and it's I can't believe I played with Converge. I didn't have that on my my list of things to do.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I guess I'll do it, dude.
Now I was talking to Finn of G's and Menkala and Scoby. Going back to you saying like how like the scene is like getting young again. One of the things that Finn and I were talking about is aging, because he said, you know, all of a sudden I'm unk status.
Yeah, we're talking about unk status.
Unk status. Yeah.
It's weird.
Which is when you get into like your 30s, right?
I'm 31.
Yeah. I'm 32. So.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, brother. Let's go.
You know, like he's like,
yeah.
Like,
I look up to that dude. Yo,
yeah.
He's a fantastic musician, and he's been a great addition to what's been going on in this local scene. Like, all three of those bands are tremendous.
Yeah.
And it's happening right now. There's like all of these creative kids doing different stuff, and I'm almost 40. I have an almost 2-year-old who's coming to see Beers play on Sunday for the first time ever.
Yeah, she's gonna be a punk rocker.
It's the aging in a scene today is crazy. I still listen to a lot of current stuff, but like truthfully, honestly, the local stuff is kind of what gets my focus. I'd rather listen to stuff that people I know are putting out and doing. I'm not trying to chase anything at 40 years old. It's got to come to me. But if you're in my backyard, I'm going to listen to your band.
Well, and that's the thing, too. It's like I feel like when I first moved back to Maine, and, now I'm collaborating, with so many more people than I was. I first moved back. I was coming back kind of clean slate. I had played in bands before. But, like, finding a band like Buzzy and finding a band like Combatant and, like, really pushing myself to do different things. I started playing in a band with Nick's now wife. They've been married. This isn't even like a recent development, dude. I mean, I was in a band with Haley for years, and Andrew joined that band. And Grant was in that band. Grant and Haley were bartending at DTL. My buddy William, who I was working with at the time, was like in the band. He was like, you should play with this band. I started playing bass. Later, Andrew joined. It was like, oh, wow. Like, now we were collaborating songwriters as a band. And Haley was cutting her teeth in that before Misery Whip started, and she pushed herself hard. And, I got to work with people like that. I got to see Andrew develop as, like, a rock musician. He was playing jazz at the time.
Yeah.
I got to see Grant go from, like, hip-hop and beats and, like, like being a really tasteful pop songwriter. We had a collaboration. I don't really know what we did, but we did it. I was playing a hardcore punk band at the time with my buddy Alex, who's now in Beers, too. And Alex is like my little brother. I've known that guy since I was in like high school, and I was an antisocial person that did not like people. And I met him in probably the first worst year of my life. And I was walking down the hallway. He always makes fun of me looking like Sasquatch in a pair of like boxer briefs. And I was like depressed. And he was like, yo, what's up? He came in my room and I was like, what's up, dude? And he's just like, oh, you like the Clash, you like Flogging Molly and like, Dropkick. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I like all punk. I like, metal. Like Absence of the Sun. I like weird shit. Now we're still playing in a band together. Me, Andrew, Nick, all of these people that have these experiences and that have these ties together, and we're getting to do it together, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
I don't play in any band with somebody who wasn't at my wedding. And the first person to hold my child that wasn't me or my wife was Jan. There's a picture of Jan holding my child before any of the grandparents. Literally, my bandmates and the people that I collaborate with, like, that's our people. We keep it tight-knit. But at the same time, like, it's cool to see that there's other people who are building these webs locally and continuing to do this DIY, collaborative, like, get people on board. It's hopeful. Like, shout out SVU.
Shout out SVU. Link. Shout out Chris Link. Shout out Grime. Shout out Justin Kurtzinger. Zud. Up, baby. It's like, we're here right now, and we're seeing all these people like Ethan walking by earlier and countless other people that you haven't seen besides us, but we have a web, and we're starting to create that web, and we're starting to strengthen that thing and make it really strong. And that's something that takes effort, and a lot of the effort that I am seeing from people right now encourages me, because I haven't seen it like this before. This is new, and we've got something special here, and we have to keep those, ties from fraying. Because there's something strong that we have here. And I think the more that we can impress that upon people like Eric doing this, I think this is important stuff. What we're seeing here is other people that have other strengths. I'm not good at social media, but I'll shoot the shit with someone for an hour.
It's a family affair.
Yeah.
Like, at this point, given the climate of the world, like, I want to be with people that I care about and care about me, that have my back. And it's cool. I feel like there are people who are trying to facilitate just that. And I feel like you doing something like this to engage with the audience that is doing that is an even further grasp of the web.
It has to be done.
It has to be done. I mean,
there's so much cool stuff going on.
Yeah, cast a wide net. Cast a wide net. You're gonna get some misses, but you're gonna get things that stick.
It's one of the reasons why I started this whole thing is, being over in Australia and New Zealand, a lot of people had never even heard of Maine.
I love Australian music too.
And then when I came back, don't we all, right?
Yeah.
If you're into heavy music, obviously you know about the Australian
Punk,
scene.
Ed Cooper and the Saints, Royal Headache. I mean, even for a more modern, In Excess.
Yeah,
Speed, AC/DC. I mean, you name it. There's great bands from Australia, so this kind of interesting here.
Over there, like, one thing that struck me was no one had even really heard of Maine, let alone like the music scene. And then I come back, and all of a sudden, the hardcore scene in Biddeford and everything was exploding. And I had only been gone for 2 years. It wasn't like that, like 2 years ago.
Totally different landscape.
Yeah.
When I moved back here in 2015, pretty much house shows were no longer a thing. A lot of the music venues that like people were booking at, like Muscle City, booking at like Deer and Grange Hall, the Station was still kind of a thing. There was a lot of all ages. You could see Strike anywhere, or like Norma Jean or something like that. Nowadays, that's hard. Those types of venues are disappearing. Those types of things are disappearing.
I moved here in the death rattle of that era.
Yeah.
So,
it was
like,
kaput by then.
When I showed up, I think
John Morse was cranking some shows.
Not until after that. There was a dry spell. There was a very fragmented scene in Southern Maine, and like bands didn't play together that weren't very tied in, and it was weird, man. Like, play a mix bill, play with your friends, do something cool and different. But now, I think, not to give you the old man says thing, but like post-COVID, I think kids had time to really explore.
Yeah,
and
big
develop love and tastes and study some of these things. You see a 21-year-old kid at a Gorilla Biscuits show doing front flips and Xing up his hands. That's sick. They're 21.
Yeah.
I think it's important to note that, like, kids are hungry for that coming out of something like a COVID time or like
because it sucked.
I mean, everybody got slowed down for at least a year to some extent.
Yeah.
And I feel like kids came out of it hungry, and there's a reason that the bands that are popular and the bands that are doing well are because they cut their fucking teeth. Not for nothing, that summer that Gums Camp played every fucking weekend, that was loud. Like, people noticed that.
Yeah,
shit.
People listen.
And
people started tuning in.
And the cool thing was they took that and they built on it, and then they built a platform on it, and they've continued to do it. And now we're on Beer's record number 2. Gasoline Dream just put our 3rd EP out. We haven't played a show in a year. Beers is playing this weekend an SVU show.
Yep.
These are the people whose corner we want to be in.
Well, and then after that, I'm playing in 2 different bands that I'm not in with Andrew. We're doing a Gasoline Dream show with Fed Ash, Coma Tight, which is my buddy from Combatant, Tyler, and then from Angel's Gate. And then a couple days later, I'm playing with Combatant. We haven't played in 3 years, and the last time we did was at Vic's.
And both of those,
Swash Warehouse 3 years ago. So thanks, Vic. And thanks, Blue.
Both of those shows coming up are at Blue.
Yeah. Thank you, Andrew, and Blue. And, I'm playing with 2 bands that I didn't even think I'd be playing in at the same time. Here we are. So some of the specials happening right now.
Just to add to the lore of Gasoline Dream being an antisocial band, so we just put out the 3rd EP. We're going to do one more. And then I think we're going to close the chapter on what a recorded catalog of Gasoline Dream is. I personally think
we're doing a gallows on your ass right now.
So here's the thing. I think it's important to nurture something that's kind of constant. I want the scene to survive. I'm going to continue having output whether I'm involved with these people or not, but I'm going to contribute where I can, right? I have a shelf life with certain ideals and ideas. I don't want to put something that dark into the world for that long and have to kind of live in it. So I think of it as like a really good chapter. It's like we're going to do 4 EPs, cap it. You know, it's not to say that we'll never play shows again, but I think that as an output, 4 EPs with what we're doing is a responsible thing. And I think that there's a shelf life on something like that. I think that it gives way for somebody else to be like, hey, I met this 26-year-old kid who plays drums and he fucking rips. I'm going to start a band with him now. It's like, you know, everybody should have their platform. They get their 20 minutes. Use your 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to do another Gasoline Dream thing. But we're going to do it fun and collaborative and not weirdly written and piecemeal. Because we've done that and it's dumb.
And we can do it.
And we can do it. We've done that.
I didn't expect to be able to do that or think that I would write songs that way. But I've started to have to entertain new ideas and new ways of thinking. And, you know, for a long time for me with Beers and trying to get releases out, the way I see it for me with that band, I want to continue to put releases out as long as I can until I die. And part of my problem was for a little while is that I thought I would just die. And I was like, well, what if I don't write that song, dude? No one's going to hear that. You know, I listen to a lot of dead people. And it's like, I'd at least like to leave people with the opportunity to like hear something that I had to say. I believe in physical releases. I believe in big art and having artists and collaborators and collaborate. That's what you have to do.
But you got to collaborate with people you love, respect, and your friends. I'd rather have you in my life in 10 years than be in a band with you for 2.
Yeah. You know, sometimes things have a way of like telling you that they're going one way or another. It's like love and relationships and stuff. And that's why, like, you know, bands are like that too. Like, angry music doesn't always have a time and place. And sometimes, like, I get tired of like hearing myself like wailing about shit. And I just want to like have someone be like, here, play these power chords and shut up.
I just want to play bass.
Yeah, and I love doing that. I'll do that for anybody, you know, if I can, you know, and if I had the time. You know, I work a full-time job. Music is what sustains me. If I can get by doing it the rest of my whole life, then I've done that right. You know?
And in doing so, if we can lend a hand to the people who are going to continue doing it after we can't, then sure, I want to play with the younger bands. I want to help the moving scenes. I want to help, you know, the up-and-coming venues. You know, you got to support your local nonprofits. You got to, you know, go to the shows.
Yeah.
Go to the shows.
Go to shows. Tell people how you're feeling. You know, tell them you're listening to it. Buy an album, buy a shirt. You know,
make friends.
Follow them online. Talk to them. Ask questions. You know, I learned so much from, you know, bands for me back in the day that mattered, you know, a lot were the pub crawlers. When I had no friends in high school and they let me do merch for them at Geno's. You know, I used to be able to go in there underage and it was just, you know, you hang out in the lobby and you don't drink. You have a Pepsi. That's it. You know, and bands like them and USA Waste and Brett setting up shows from my first band with me and Alex. And, you know, I wouldn't be here today if I didn't have people that kind of like were like, you should do this. You know?
I'll be your old head.
It's cool. Just be cool. Don't be a dick.
Just be cool. Don't be a dick. Be genuine. Help your friends. Support your friends. You know. I think it's time to go read Goodnight Moon to my child.
Or Goon.
Or Goodnight Goon. Thank you for reaching out to do this.
Hell yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, thanks, Eric. I appreciate you having us here. And coming to us here at Grime, which is a fitting place to do this at as any. So, you know, yeah, I mean, I don't normally do stuff like this, and so I think it's good. I think it's important. I hope more people start doing it because I've been enjoying kind of hearing what people have to say. You know,
stay tuned for more. Check these guys out. Check out the EPs. Check out Beers Brosnan. Check out Gasoline Dream. Check out Combatant. Follow SVU for new shows. Follow Blue for new shows. Check it all out.
Check out Wicked Friggin' Heavy. Thanks for having us, Eric. Thank you.
Thank you.